5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey there, prosperity practitioners. It is Brandon Hanley here, the voice of a generation, and I'm on here with Donnie Tuttle. And Donnie Tuttle is, he's a man with many faces since I've gotten to know him, but currently he's running this project called the Purpose Driven Executive. And Donnie is the sworn enemy of the grind. He believes that productivity is meant to be organic. Your life, your work, your team, your productivity, everything. When you function according to your design and your gifts, you can have exactly what you want and in a sustainable way. Donnie is an expert in helping sales leaders come alive to their vision and holding them accountable to action that aligns with their purpose to create maximum results. Most of his clients increase their business 50% or more in the first year of working together. Donnie does all this, and not only that, he's a locally national traveler with his wife and 8 children, and he's hoping to prove others that they can have the life that they want right now. And I want to tag on this one little part that most of all, Donnie believes that we are here to draw out greatness in others to be everything that they can be. Donnie, I love it all. I'm so glad that it's probably our 3rd time getting together, but each time it's just exponentially much more greater. How can I help celebrate something with you today, man?
Brandon, first off, you are officially hired. You can write my biography. That was very well. Thank you for the intro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. And so your question was, what's popping, what's happening, what's good? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, man. What can we celebrate today?
Geez, man. How about this? I left a thriving coaching practice with a great company that just was no longer helping me fulfill the vision that was inside of me. Mm-hmm. And here we are. It's been 5 months, and we are. I probably shouldn't say bank deposit numbers, but it'll be my largest bank deposit ever in my life. How about that?
Wow. That's saying something. That's saying
Monthly.
something.
Yeah.
That's saying something. Especially, I have an idea of your history, so that's saying something. And when you get to that point, that's got to feel awesome. And let's just leap right into it. Do you feel prosperous now? Do you feel like you're living a prosperous life and practicing prosperity?
Yeah, I do. For me, this is a journey, just like a retraining of the brain, Brandon. Just because I feel like some of what I came out of and growing up. I feel like we all kind of, or at least I could say me in particular, have developed some defense mechanisms maybe that don't serve me today. But yeah, so I'm learning more and more every day how to lean into that. So yes.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. What is you talk about retraining and maybe leaving behind something that wasn't serving you so much. And how do you go about picking out that thing that's not training you so much or serving you so well and replacing it with something that is?
I think the first thing is to stop. Working less is for me a big deal. I think a lot of that, Brandon, happens because of habit. Like the bad stuff. Like we have, I feel like all of us, we're like this mix of bad and good and different habits that are doing nothing. And being able to have a time and a space to be able to not be attached to your work or to whatever it is that you do to be alive, to live, to eat, and all that stuff, and to evaluate and to dream. I would say that's so it's almost like turning off gravity, and then while gravity is off, that's like maybe picking the things that you actually want to put in your space.
Right.
And and some things serve you for a while, and then you grow past them. So it's
Sure. So it's not even that they're bad things that have been in your life. It's just that they're no longer serving you to the degree that they once were.
Yeah. Like I was in first grade, I only did it once, but I did go through first grade, but I'm glad that I'm not there anymore. Like it doesn't make sense
for sure
to do that. I'm not superior as a human being to a first grader, but I know some things that, makes it to where first grade doesn't serve me anymore. So, but it was good. I'm so glad I went through that experience.
For sure. I think that it's really interesting that you say that, you're not superior. It's just you're in a different place, right? Like if we're like just even on a flat plane, you're just simply on a different place than you once were. Is that fair to say? I mean, everybody's pretty much on the same level. You're just in different places on a flat plane.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a great way of saying it. Or like, I don't know. I mean, relative to time, I'm just I'm in a different place in my timeline.
Sure.
And sometimes, like I think when we spoke a couple of months ago, Brandon, I think I was living with my I think the last time we spoke, I was living with my parents. So we when I started this business, we came over. I had no doubt in my mind that we would crush it. I say we because my wife is my best business partner. But when we came over, we started. We first, we're hanging at my folks' house for a little bit. They don't have a large house by any means, but that turned in almost 3 months. And but even during that time, like that's just a different place in this timeline. So being able to look at this even back there and vice versa, just like I'm not really attached to what's happening right now. I just know that I'm continually progressing towards that. So we live in a great place now, a couple blocks off the beach, and life's a dream.
I love it. Well, let's talk. Give me 1 second. Let me pause this for a second. I'm gonna shut the room to the. So Donnie, I love it. I love your approach, and I always have, right? And I've always just loved your energy and what you bring forth, and you do it with a passion, but you do it with you're genuine and sincere. And let's talk a little bit about your purpose-driven executive and what it means to be a purpose-driven executive. What is purpose?
Ooh, you're going deep on me, man. But it's thank you for asking. I think this is the reason why I'm here on Earth. Is I believe that we are all beings created by God for a reason, and that reason is not slavery, but it's to co-create and to co-enjoy in that creation. Right. And so what I feel like we see, Brandon, and I'll start on the opposite side, which is I would say the grind. Right? I'm the sworn enemy of the grind. I believe what we see is the designs and mechanisms given to us by other people that served its purpose during the industrial age. But at this point are actually great limiters of mankind. So there are so many systems for you to become productive and better and smarter and faster and all of those things. But in most cases, they're not actually attached to your being. And inside of us, my friend, what I've seen through the 8 children that we birthed and through the hundreds and thousands that I've talked to and along the way, is they were all born with something innate, gifts. And the world around us needs those gifts. And when we are bold enough and brave enough to open up and share that with people, it blesses them, it blesses us, and it's just like this, there's a multiplication that happens there. In the workforce, if you're working there, like this is when you get to enter into the zone where you're doing what you were created to do. There was a great line from Chariots of Fire, and I'm trying to remember the main character, but all of his family they were all pastors, and his family, they're like, no, you need to be a preacher or a pastor or whatever it was. And he says, no, but I was made to run. I feel God's pleasure when I run. Yeah. Eric Little, I think was his name. And when we feel like the peace, calm, and joy flow through us at those moments, that's where we're at our highest and best value to ourselves and to this world. And my question is why can't we live there? And I think we can do that vocationally as well as in our lives. So Brandon, the result is you don't want to come home and kick the dog, fight with your spouse, or beat your kids. Instead, you're free to live a life that's full of peace and joy because that's what you've been doing all day long. Right. So that's a little bit of a glimpse into that.
No, dude, I love it. And look, I'm right there with you. As a matter of fact, I stopped I stopped a little earlier today and handed my card to manager at a restaurant. I said, "Man, you get people in here to talk to, to motivate your crew, right? To just kind of get them inspired to be living exactly what you're saying, the life that they believe that they should be living." And I looked at it, I said, "Man, when they tell you all the time that you should, if you can go do the thing that you would do, even if you weren't getting paid for it, you should go do it. Like if that's what draws, if that's what really inspires you, if that's where your passion is." And that's when, you're living, what did you say? Like, with God, like living through, what did you say? It was like, just living your greatness, right? Just pretty much living your greatness. And I said, "Man, that's exactly what I'm doing right now, because I'm not getting paid for this. And I'd love to just come in and talk to you guys and just like, kind of get you guys to where, you should be, or, where you feel like you should be. Because it's not where I feel like they should be. And Donnie, I'm sure for you, it's not where you think that they should be when you're coaching somebody. It's where that person wants to be living their greatness. And how do you get them into that, right? Let's say, for example, let's say that you go to somebody, and I'm sure that you coach people who were bought coaching packages, but they didn't sign up for it themselves, and maybe were slightly resistant with it, but then ended up loving that experience. How do you get somebody into that, like past that resistance of it, into saying, "No, I'm really here not because your boss wants you to grind it out. I'm really here to help you live to be the best you can be," even though that's like the one phrase everybody wants to punch the other person in the face when they hear them say it, right? You just got to be the best you can be. Well, So how do you get over that resistance? And tell me a story about that.
Dude, that's good. And I think that story happens to me and to you every day. I was a school teacher, and that's my background. And I found that for me to get someone to learn something that they really didn't want to learn, I think it can be done. You just have to pump a lot of energy into it and make it educational and entertaining. So edutainment is what I would call that.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But it takes a tremendous amount of energy, and it doesn't necessarily return that. Even if that's your gift, it's still it gets depleting. It takes a lot of effort. And there's a saying, I don't know who, it's probably from a million years ago, or Aristotle or someone, but it's like when the pupil is ready, right, the teacher will arrive.
Dude, and it's so annoying about how true that is.
I can't, Brandon, I can't make you be motivated.
Right.
But what I can do is I can connect with you as an individual. And if I can be genuine enough to share and provoke you to come into the arena with me one-on-one and to share with me, there is a chance that we can move in the right direction. Now, I will say this, that in almost all cases, well, majority of cases, I have gotten much better results for people who are fully invested themselves. So if mom or dad, I'm just saying, for parents, if mom and dad made them do something, they're less likely to do it. Or if a boss bought coaching program for you, you're less likely to get true, growth out of it.
Sure. And
so I don't know. I don't really waste my time trying to convince unbelievers. I think that's my I think it's a waste of energy.
I mean, that's the strength of yours, right? Like recognizing that somebody doesn't really want to be doing it. The Energy Bus, I think, was John Gordon, was a really good book, and he talks about that. He goes, "Listen, you, Donnie, you're the one driving the bus, and as somebody that doesn't want to get on, it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense to try and force them to get on the bus, right? Because they're just draining you, like you're saying, like you're feeding into something that they have no desire."
I feel like being alleviated from. Sometimes, again, leaders can feel this, parents can feel this, where you feel like you are responsible for someone to learn, or you're responsible for their results, or you're responsible, and that's only partly true, because you only own a part of that. And coming to the realization as a coach and as a leader of saying, what will I own, in this scenario? And by the way, I can't help everyone, and I'm okay with that. I don't have a savior hero complex.
Right.
Not much, maybe sometimes. But yeah, it's just like I'm not for everyone, and actually being really okay with that. It's amazing at that it has on others that allure. Like, wait, you just said you can't help me, but maybe I want you to help me. It's just like this. There's a weird I don't know.
It's like you're playing hard to get, right? Like,
But I'm not playing. Like I'm like I see this and I don't want you, so like let me put you to someone else. And
right.
I literally am. I'm so okay with that. I just yeah, I want to build a life that lets me spend the rest of my life with the people that I love the most. And for me, that happens to be purpose-driven executives.
Right.
For other people, it might be car salesmen or house painters or whatever,
right.
housewives. But it's like knowing who that is and what makes my heart sing just releases me to say yes to one thing, but that also gives me the power to say no to another. So
right.
yeah. I'm pretty at peace with those things.
I love that. And I think that you illustrate something really nice there though too. Is like when you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else, or vice versa. When you're saying yes to something, you're really saying no to something else. So if you're saying yes to take on a client that you think is not the best fit, you're also saying to yourself, well,
I've done that.
Yeah, and you're saddling yourself with like for the grind.
Yes, I've done that, and everyone. I mean, like I have evaluation periods for myself and with my clients of saying, hey, listen, have we reached that point? I don't want to be the grind for you, and I don't want you to be the grind for me. And if I wake up, that's the biggest feeling is like if I wake up and it's like I'm not excited to be serving this person today, I have to check one of two things. Either is my lens on correctly, because like it's not always about my pleasure, don't get me wrong. But the other thing is like is that connection now over with? Like is it time for us to move on?
Yeah.
And just being able to be sensitive to that. That's why like I did away, like I can't stand long contracts. It's like if you keep paying me, that means I'm serving you. If I don't want you to be dependent upon me.
Right.
If you don't, then let's part ways.
Well, and I think that's another thing that maybe a lot of people don't get about coaching. That's it's totally different from a therapist, a psychologist, or somebody that you see forever because your problem is never going away. You're seeing somebody to help you just again step into your greatness, step into who you want to be. And what you want to be doing is not like this. And if you're flying, if you're on your way, I had a client yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I was like, he goes, listen, I think you've got me to where I need to be going. He goes, the moss is coming off the stone as it's going down the hill, and he's building momentum. I was like, dude, it's really just like training wheels for whatever spot you're in. And as soon as you're up and riding on your own, it's cool. You're going to be doing that for the rest of your life. So our time is done, right?
Well, I mean, I feel like graduate to another coach. Like maybe you don't need this kind of coach. Go get that kind of coach.
Right.
Like it's like I feel like we should always be open to that. But like, yeah, exactly. Like when if I can help you, if I can be a part of your transition instead of becoming like codependent upon each other.
Right.
But I help you to transition. Like I'm setting you up to be a hero and not a dependent. I'm setting you up to be who you're supposed to be without me. And now we're actually on peers. Brandon, we have children, both of us.
Right.
And whether we like it or not, they're going to grow up to a place to where they're men and women. Yeah. And when they do, if we still treat them like children, like that's retarded, man.
It's tough for me to treat them like children now. Like I said, I paused this earlier because my boys are in the other room making a video and I'm making a podcast, right? And I don't want him to stop it. I just got to shut the door because we've got noise interference. But like I appreciate and respect him as a person, right? And I think that's just fatherhood and parenting, right? And
my 15-year-old, this is probably for your other podcast, right? My 15-year-old, we were walking yesterday, and he wanted to take the bikes. One of the bikes is broken. I mean, if he took it, other people wouldn't be able to. It was just kind of a thing. I'm like, dude, just let's walk. And he throws a little bit of a, I'm like,
sure.
Okay, here's the deal. You're 15, like, and I'm going to get on to you about this because I love you. But here's a place where I'm bringing you. Is I do want you to be able to talk to me like a peer. Like ultimately, you're my peer. Not yet.
Right.
But ultimately, like we have to graduate you to that level. And if I can't do the same thing with my coaching clients,
right.
I feel like that we're like I'm creating codependency, and I don't want to be someone else's drug. I think that our industry, self-improvement industry, is incestuous and does that.
Right.
And I don't think it's a good thing, man.
Well, I think what you say to that too is that you give them the tools to go do the job that they want to do, right? And it really, again, it's kind of like a catch and release thing. Like, I'm just going to hold you.
That's a great way of saying it.
I'm going to hold you for a little bit, and we're going to go through these things, and then I'm just going to like let you out there, right? Like,
catch and release.
And there's nobody's broken inherently, and getting people past those points. I mean, to me, coaching is a lot of fun because you get the opportunity to watch that person grow, and that's what I was thinking about. Is like it's the person not being dependent on you, but when they find that they can do some of these things on their own that they never thought possible, right? Or they never saw themselves doing this, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did this thing, and I just did it, and it was actually easy, right? And I'm like, but they wouldn't have done it without the coaching, without that prompting, without the support, without somebody else believing in them to do it. And I think that that's part of the beauty about doing it. And so my guess is, without having gone through your coaching process, though, is like you align them with their purpose, and when they become aligned with their purpose, they see how much easier it is. I mean, just talk to me a little bit about aligning an executive with their purpose and kind of what that looks like. Like, so, Donnie, I've got this huge business, and I do a lot of things, and they're all great things, and I just don't feel like I'm living my purpose. Help me out, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, I help those people. I also help people who are crushing it, and they want to dial it in better. They want to create what they want, but help me to understand the question you kind of are directing me here. Tee me up. I'm not sure where I was going.
But, I mean, again, aligning purpose with work. I mean, even like maybe somebody's selling something that they just can't find their purpose in it. How do you align them up to their purpose in a job that they just don't see it?
So I find. So there's two ways. Two ways. There's probably a billion, but two ways that I would go through. So you're either going to be, in some cases, you can be Superman all the time, and in other cases, you need to be Clark Kent for a part of your day and Superman for a part of your day. I personally believe that vocational purpose. I don't know if I'm just making that word up. I don't know, but I do believe that our purpose is actually intertwined with the vocation that we should choose. But the interesting thing is that so I love communicating to people. I could do that with corporate individuals like I do now, or I could be a school teacher.
Right.
It's the same thing, right? It's just different iterations of that same gift. The question is, for me, what's actually in you that wants to come out? And if let's just say you're trapped in a job that you don't care for, Brandon. For me, there's a few things we can actually do what we're doing. For me, it's there. Like, why is the biggest reason? Like, why am I doing this? Why? Well, but for other people with different personalities, some person might it's not. They don't even think about why. It's how. Right. So I do this because it honors my family, or this honors my creator by how I work.
Right.
For other people, it is like for me, it's about the what too. Like, what do I do that matches my why? Is that is that a thing? But if you can have that, I believe we all can. We find our gifts. We find out where society values those gifts, and we gain the skills necessary to go do that on our way, because that doesn't happen as soon as we turn 18 and we move out of the house and we just have this.
Right. On
our way, we're probably going to have to go a little bit of the Clark Kent version, where we don't surrender our lives, but maybe we live a little bit of duality. Same person in both places, but maybe I don't. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of things that are sitting on my desk that I absolutely use that I wouldn't be in love with selling. Like, would I really be in love with selling this? I definitely wouldn't be in love with selling this microphone. But it's like, why is it life altering and changing? I can't say that I would say that it is, because there's 100,000 different types of microphones out there. So,
right.
So maybe I'm not in love with it, but it does serve people. It's not unethical, and it allows me to go live my life adventure in the nighttime.
Sure.
So, for me, you need to be Superman at least part of the time.
Right.
If you can be Superman full time, then great. If not, find a way to do it part time. Because if you forget about yourself and you just lose yourself in the corporate chase, you end up going after empty and hollow things.
Yeah, no, I love that, Donnie, because I think that that kind of speaks to doing these podcasts for me, right? I wouldn't call it a side hustle for me, like doing, I did fatherhood for the rest of us. Now I'm doing the prosperity practice, but in doing these types of activities, you feel a little bit like Superman, right? Like you're out there, you're touching people, you're maybe inspiring a person or two, or we get to have these conversations. I mean, you and I connected, and it's been like two bolts of lightning, Zeus's whatever hands, boom, right. And it's been a lot of fun, and so there's a lot of that. For me, I think over the past few years has given me more purpose than my overall, my job. But my job allows me to do this, to live that Superman aspect. And so I can see what you're saying there is all I'm saying. So I love how you presented that. One of the other things you said in there too, is creating your own life, right? And being a creator. What's that look like for you? Because I mean, you've done that right now. You've created like this really awesome life, but and I think that to recognize yourself as a creator, and most people think that to be creative, you've got to draw a picture, you've got to paint like walls and murals and all that stuff. But I think that you're a creative in what you have created, and I think everybody is innately creative. They just got to recognize that they are creating. I know I say creative like 30 times there, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And I think you understand where I'm coming from on that one.
I do, and I think that. So you said something earlier about doing what you would do for free or whatever, and I always think about it like, if so let's say I won the lottery, or you won the lottery, whatever. It's like, and I was like, the question I ask people a lot of times is, what fight would you fight if you didn't have a fight? And so what things, like, where do you want to serve on this earth that brings value to you and to others? And it comes back to the purpose thing. But I wanted to share with you maybe a little bit of something that I am. I've just become on fire for. I've got to admit, I've been taking some of this from a book called Level Up Your Life.
Okay.
That for whatever reason is just connecting with a lot of action points that have been going on in my world, and like I'm building this coaching program and all of those things and so the premise is to make life more like a video game. So rather than say I want to learn Spanish, you can say, well, what would the different levels of Spanish look like? Like if I were like level 50 badass at Spanish, like maybe I'm in Madrid, Spain, like at the running of the bulls, and I'm telling someone to get out of the way, or or I'm conversing with these people in Espanol.
Right.
That was actually the vision board. There's a vision board behind me, and it says Español lo sé, which means Spanish. I know Spanish is what that was. So that's checked off. We literally moved to Mexico for a few months, as you know. But on my next vision board, I have Español más fuerte, and so it's that I want my Spanish to be stronger.
Nice.
And but here's the thing: what does it look like from when we have these giant Kilimanjaro type of things? It can look just so huge that what do we do with that?
Right.
The book contends, and I would contend, and I'm building where I'm building a lot of my program is like, what are the small steps and what are the levels? Where can you tell you've leveled up? And what are those great things that will be an evidence to you that you were absolutely crushing it here? So, so a level 1 in Spanish might be, I'll do whatever the online, the little Spanish lessons are. I don't know why I'm Duolingo every day for 10 minutes, one lesson a day.
Okay.
Level 2 might be I'll go into a Spanish restaurant and order in Spanish.
Right.
And by the way, those are things I'm doing. One of the things that I'm doing.
Not Chili's though. Not Chili's.
So one of the things I'm going to be doing here, my wife's mom is from Chile.
Okay.
My wife is too. And I'm going to invite her to my home once a month for a Spanish date. So I'm going to take her on a date, and anyone that wants to come along can, but they can only speak Spanish.
Nice.
And so, but for me, like that's another thing where like it's forcing me outside of my normal deal. Again, I do want, like, there's probably going to be some travel, but those are some levels there.
Right.
Another example is on my new vision board. I have an image of a gift giver. I want to be a giver.
Yeah.
I want to be a gift giver, and with my clients, with my kids, and so I've actually created like a spreadsheet of what that would look like. Let's see, I gave myself a name, and it was there you go. The Epic Quests of Sojourner Freedom. So that's my fictional name in these Epic Quests.
Love it.
The giving thing. Like being a joyful man. But it's like I can start small. I can start by giving compliments.
Sure.
I can start by giving, like, with a post-it with something nice said. I can take my kids out to treats. I can, pay attention to details and come back. I can throw awesome birthday parties. That would be like a big boss in the world of video games where I'm taking that sucker down.
Right.
Anyway, so it's like breaking these things down and knowing that you've gotten there. Like you can see your progress based on what you're doing on a small level on a consistent basis, but also occasionally knocking down a couple of big monsters too. And so I have several quests broken down that way.
I love it. Now, is the whole quest thing, is that part of the book?
I've taken a lot of my personal concepts from that. Yeah. So I have adventure quests, like where I want to travel, my speaking quests, like level 1.
I think I saw a TED talk. I think I saw like a TED on your vision board. Is that right? Is that that something that's
so that's like level like 4 or 5, like, that's going to be one of my higher levels. And I'm talking to people right now about how can I get involved in a TED talk. And I just now uncovered my TED speech today. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
For sure. I love it. I can totally see you doing it. I don't know exactly what it would be, but Donnie, I see you up there and I can see that for you for sure. The other thing, let's hit on like one more thing, because you're talking about vision boards. Talk about the power of vision and how that differs from like maybe saying having a plan or a goal.
So vision for me is kind of like what I talked about earlier, where you turn the gravity off.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no rules. Those people out there who are the problem solvers, you have to tell yourself, you don't figure out how yet. Just go imagine. Just go be inspired. What would inspire you? What kind of life would inspire you? What kind of process would you love to wake up to every day that you would be excited about? And by the way, if you make a guess and you end up that you don't love what you thought you would love, that's okay. You can change it. Like, this isn't what? It's not permanent. Yeah. Edit, right? Control Z. But like I was hesitant, Brandon, to do a vision board. I saw a bunch of people I knew that did them, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And I did it, and every single thing on it came true. Now, here's the deal. I'm probably going to differ from a lot of your audience in the fact that I don't like. For me, there has to be some tangibleness of that as well. And in that, if it's just pictures that sit on your wall, I believe it. I'll call it the magic picture board. It doesn't do anything. It's just pictures that are there. Those are things that a lot of people just hope to one day do, maybe somewhere wish upon a star over the rainbow.
Sure.
But if you can make a small action towards that daily, that tells your brain that is you. Right. I think that we're always looking for evidence of that. And so once we decide, hey, this would be really cool and I'm going to commit to it, then the question is what small actions can I take to get there? What can I do today?
Right.
Is the reality. But yeah, gosh, man, that's like, it's one of my favorite things is vision.
I love it. So what is something tangible that you can share like that's kind of coming out of that?
Okay, so tangible. So here's an example. On the bottom right of mine, I'm not really much of a things guy, and that doesn't make me superior. I'm trying to become a little bit better about that, because I think that I just think that it actually shows a lack of imagination on my part. So like, because usually with vision boards, it's like, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be, and what do you want to have? And but one of the things is we need a new adventure machine. And so we're looking at a brand new Chevy Suburban.
Okay.
And as we go in, like basically what we've been doing is we can go into car lots, and walking in and sitting down in them and test driving them and all of those things. And suddenly it's like my brain tells me like, okay, that's what I'm driving.
Right.
Or my brain may say, yeah, this isn't really what I thought I would want. So let's keep looking for something else.
Okay.
So those, like, to me, that's a tangible thing to do. But also, honestly, this adventure quest thing that I kind of told you about, to me, those are the tangibles. And I'm so excited to be able to, on my epic quest to become the most joyful man I know, dude, tell a joke to my family once a day. Like, is that difficult? No. But if I do that every day, like, what happens? Something.
Right.
Does.
Well, it sounds like you're putting some fun back into your life then too, with that joyful aspect. Would you say that you have a lot of fun in your life, Donnie? And do you find that a lot of people are missing that?
Brandon, here's the deal. I know that I'm at my best when I'm having fun. But I also know that if I'm just being honest, I know that I have at times put aside fun for a time, as though it's some childish thing, so that I can grow a business, so I can do these adult things. And I'm relearning it. I've been relearning it for this past year. Like, I'm in rehab, and
you're in fun rehab. What kind of rehab are you in, Donnie?
Dude, it's the F word, Brandon, and I just want more of the F word, and it just makes everything better. And so I'm looking for fun, baby, in all the right places.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when you add fun to your life, you add a little bit more lightness, right? You're not as heavy. I mean, that's just the only way I can really kind of put it out there right now. But dude, I love it, and I love that. I love what you're doing, and I love catching up and having these conversations. I'm very excited for you, knowing that you're doing this, and doing well with it. And there was never a doubt, right? Never a doubt. Donnie is both the giver and the gift. If you can take that, because I believe in that. Donnie, who should be reaching out to you?
Oh man, you know what? Anyone, Brandon, that is if they're flipped on by that message of purpose, I just like to connect. And for me, there's a part of what I'm always going to do that is, I just think it's my message on the earth, and my song on the earth is to stir people to purpose and to help them to live it joyfully. That's what I want most out of anything. And so anyone that's turned on by that message, let's connect in some way. If you end up being someone that's like, you're in sales, or you're a leader or a business owner or whatever, then we can talk about those other things. But really, I just like to connect to like souls, because I feel like I don't know, man. It adds momentum in the direction that I'm going, and maybe we can go together.
Nice. Nice. I love it, Donnie. And where should I send people to connect with you?
All right. My first name, last name.com. So it's actually mine, not yours. So it's Donnie Tuttle, DONNIE, Tuttle, TUTTLE.com. And you can find me a lot on LinkedIn and other places too, but DonnieTuttle.com pretty much will serve you up, and you'll figure it out from there, how to get a hold of me.
Donnie, appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by and taking the time and having this conversation today.
All right. Thank you, man.